Our next guests were kind of tired of living in a fast-paced world in New York City. They craved a life that offered more than just surviving, so they decided to make a little bit of a change.
Yeah, that change was taking a year off with their 5 children, ages 6 to 16, and sail the Atlantic. They have written a book about their journey called 7 at Sea, Why a New York City Family Cast Off Convention for a Life-Changing Year on a Sailboat. Welcome, Emily and Erik Orton, who lived to tell the tale. Good morning to you both.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning and congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I think every parent goes, wait a minute, 5 kids on a boat for a year, can't imagine. But tell us about the moment living in New York City where they say it is a rat race, right? You're in the grind every day, where you said, let's do something different and take off and sail around the Atlantic.
Yeah. I was just unhappy in my work, and I knew that I wanted to spend more time with Emily and our 5 kids. And I also knew that once our kids moved out of the house, they really weren't coming back. We had this window of opportunity. If we didn't do it during the window of the opportunity, that window would close.
So how did the kids react, and were you sailors before this at all?
Wow, we had no sailing experience prior to this, but the kids reacted in a variety of ways. It was obviously a risk for them as well, and there were varying levels of enthusiasm and nervousness.
Did they want to leave their friends?
Right, they were all concerned about friends and things like that. But they took the risk with us, and in the end, they were really glad that they did it.
What size boat did you get, and how'd you get that?
It was a 38-foot catamaran, 21 feet wide, and it had 4 cabins, so everyone had a little. We had more bedrooms on our boat than we did in our apartment.
Okay. Yeah.
So the catamaran means you can lie out and be outside a lot of the time. It's kind of like camping at sea, isn't it, really? I mean, in that sense?
Yeah, very much like the camping.
Okay. Did you run into any storms or any scary situations?
We did. About a few months in, we did our first night crossing from St. Martin to the Virgin Islands, and the forecast was clear. We headed out. We were going to do, like I said, a night sail, and in the middle of the night, a storm snuck up on us, and I got pretty scared, to be honest.
Right.
And when you say storm, I mean, we're not talking like little baby waves. It's 20-foot waves, 30-foot waves, things like that?
Nothing quite that big. It probably felt that big at the time. But all I knew was that I needed to get the pressure off the sails. So I turned us around, sailed us straight into the storm until the sun came up, and then we were able to sail successfully to St. Martin, to the Virgin Islands. But what we found out once we got there was that another boat, a bigger boat, that same night, had their mast snapped off during that same squall. And so we felt fortunate that we'd managed it as well as we did. And as the trip progressed, we got more and more competent and comfortable in those situations, and we also got very good at just avoiding them.
Oh my goodness.
Staying out of their way.
Was there ever a point in the journey where you thought this was a mistake? I can't believe we did this.
Oh, absolutely. I think as soon as we arrived in St. Martin, that learning curve was so steep. We weren't as prepared as we thought we were, even though we'd been taking classes and trying to charter and captain. And the boat needed more work than we thought. It was just harder than we thought it was going to be, and we thought we wanted to turn back. But we took a little moment with our family to talk about the things that were good. And I feel like that gratitude sort of gave us the space to keep going, and we found mentors, and we just humbled ourselves and opened ourselves to learn from other people and stuck with it.
Now, where exactly did you go, and what would you say was the highlight of the whole thing?
We picked up our boat in St. Martin and sailed all the way back to our home in Manhattan.
Wow.
And I would say one moment that I'll never forget was when we were doing the crossing from Puerto Rico to the Bahamas, and it was 5 days of non-stop sailing. And by the time we got to the Bahamas, we dropped anchor, got to shore, built a fire, and when we sat around that fire that night as a family, we just felt like we'd done something that could never be undone, and we felt so close. It was all worth it.
That's amazing. How expensive was this? Because maybe there's a family out there going, gosh, this would be great, but I can't leave my job. I can't afford to do something like that.
I want to guess it was cheaper not to work than it was
in New York City, too.
It's more affordable than most people think, and we have an average income. Completely average. We bought the boat knowing that we wouldn't be able to afford to keep it. So when we sold it at the end, we sold it at break even, and our living costs were maybe $25,000 to $30,000 for the whole year.
Yeah.
That must have broke your heart when you had to sell it.
It was a bittersweet moment for sure.
What did this do to the family? How did it change the dynamic?
What do you think your kids learned?
Well, it galvanized us as a family. It really deepened our family culture. One of the things our 8-year-old told us he learned was that there is such a thing as no internet. He had not imagined that before. But our older girls were a little more reflective. And at the time, our 15-year-old daughter said that living on a sailboat taught her to be comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think we all felt that confidence that we could figure things out.
And what do you say to parents who might be thinking about doing this?
I would say that there's never a good time, there's never enough money,
Yeah.
and nobody is going to extend you an invitation. You just got to speak it, write it down, do something small that moves you towards it every day, and ask yourself what could go right.
Wow, you guys are bold and brave. What a
You're
story.
awesome.
Awesome is another word to describe
Thank you.
it. Once again, the book is called 7 at Sea, Why a New York City Family Cast Off Convention for a Life-Changing Year on a Sailboat. It's available online on Amazon.com. You can go to their website, 7atsea.com. Thank you guys so much.
That's
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
I'm leaving tomorrow.
You've inspired us.